we would love to teach you to code a really fun way using Unity Engine to make 2D games. My name is Ben Tristram, founder of Game Dev TV. We genuinely make some of the most popular game development tutorials in the world. And I've teamed up with my friend...
Thanks, Ben. Hi, I'm Rick. I've been teaching people how to make games for more than 10 years. And what I know is that it's really difficult to know where to start when you're learning how to program, learning coding, and learning game development. And what I can assure you, in this course, we make it easy as can be for beginners to jump in and learn how to code and to learn how to make great games.
Don't take our word for it. There's over 40,000 people have taken the time to leave a review for this course, which is amazing. Thank you to those people. And what's more, we're making it even better in the summer of 2018. We're upgrading the entire course to Unity 2018, so all the newest possible content. We have helped thousands of people make real games, and we want you to be one of those. So Rick, how do we do this?
Yeah, we're going to start with the fundamentals for C#, getting you up and running, understanding things like what is a variable, how do you write a method, what are conditionals, how do we do if statements, right from the ground up so you have confidence with those foundations. We're also going to be getting in there and playing around with Unity so that you understand Unity, how does the interface work, what are the different aspects of it, just getting really comfortable in the engine. And the third pillar for this course is the game development, game design aspect of things. So we're going to talk a little bit about the player experience and how do you create something that's going to be enjoyable for someone to play when it's your game. So then
we move on to more advanced C# tools, just when we need them, so that your code can continue to read pretty much like English. Beautiful, clean code, simple solutions. We're going to take a deeper dive into Unity's features, again, as we need them to enhance their player experience, to enhance your learning, to increase the scope of the games that you can make. And we'll really start to think about the architecture of your solutions, how things fit together, how they are aesthetically, how they are functionally. So, Rick, by the end of the course, what can they do?
Yeah, by the end of this course, you will be a 2D ninja. You'll understand the foundations of programming. You'll know how to make an interesting game for players. And like the games that we've got on the screen at the moment, you'll be able to create these sorts of platformers, tower defense games, putting your own creativity to them so that you can really make them your own, stamp your own flair to them, and really flex your muscles as a game developer.
Oh, I'm excited to get going. So look, it really is a vital time to learn to code. So please dive in with us and we'll take care of you. Hey, so we're upgrading this entire course completely for free to Unity 2018. We are focusing entirely on 2D content, and my old mate Rick is going to be your main instructor. Hey, Rick.
Hello, Ben, and hello to you watching this video. It's great to be with you again. You might have worked with me on our Unity RPG course, maybe our Unity 3D course, or one of the other courses that I've created here at Game Dev TV. This course, we're focusing on Unity 2018 and beyond to give you the latest and greatest of what Unity has to offer. Things like tile map and timeline, lots of really cool stuff in there. And rest assured, no matter what, you'll have access to all of the existing original content in a standalone course. You can go and have a look at that. If we move things or change it around, then you will always be able to access that content.
Awesome. So my main role here is going to be to review all of the projects before we rework them. Rick will be your main instructor, but I'm going to make sure we don't teach you any codswallop in the process. So none of that public. We'll be using serialized field. We're going to be using Unity 2018's latest APIs. All of the best practices we've got will be in there and thought about before we even push the record button. Rick, when's the content coming?
Now that we've started, the content is going to be coming fast and furious on a daily basis. Look for the recent changes and please be a little bit patient as we are remastering the course. There might be a little bit of change around where we take one section and move it as we're recording the new section. We'll let you know always what we're up to and what's going on, and please do give us feedback on that process. If you find anything confusing or unsure, then absolutely ask us in the Q&A section.
And it'll be totally worth it by the end. We'll have a focused 2D course and a separate 3D course over there. We're going to be adding new content at the start of the course, so if it's coming fast enough for you, take the new stuff. If you're in a hurry to consume the content, just jump past the new stuff and go and consume the classic version of the course, which will be after all the new content and will eventually be removed and put away in a graveyard course, but more about that later. Let's dive in.
In this video, we're going to be downloading Unity Hub, Unity 2018 or later, and Visual Studio. If you already have those things downloaded and ready to go, then you can jump to the next video. Otherwise, let's get started. Okay, the very first step in this process is to open up your web browser and search for Get Unity. This will take you to a list of things where Unity download should be at the very top or somewhere around the top. have a look for it. Now on the download Unity page, we can click on the big green button that says choose your Unity and download. That'll allow you to go and do things what I'll call the old way, because recently we now have the option of downloading Unity Hub, which is what we're going to do. If you land on this page and things have changed, because Unity is always changing and upgrading and iterating, no problem. Just follow the approach of finding the Unity that you want to download. And if the hub is available, click on Download Unity Hub. I expect it's going to be around for a long time because it is awesome. It allows us to manage all of our downloads and all of our different versions. So that's going to download. It might take you a little bit longer than me, but for me it's going to be about I think a 20-second download. Once that downloads, we can get into the next step. So click on that to open it up. And ask you if you want to do this. Yep. And this is on PC, as you can see. Ben's going to take you through some of the PC Mac differences in a couple of videos' time, but everything is pretty similar. If you're a Mac user, you're going to know how to respond when the dialog pops up. And here we need to scroll through, read it very closely and in close detail. When you get to the end, click I agree. You can see I didn't quite read it. I was being a little bit facetious on that one. But I'm sure it said lots of good stuff, and it wasn't asking me to give them my kidneys or my firstborn or any of those kind of scary things. All safe and good. Okay, so it's doing a little bit of behind-the-scenes thinking. Now we've installed Unity Hub, and this thing is delightful. If you've used Unity before and if you haven't used Unity Hub, then it's not going to be too much of a stretch. Basically, it's allowing us to manage multiple versions of Unity in one place. Why would you do that? Well, sometimes you've created a project in, say, Unity 2017, and you're worried there's compatibilities in Unity 2018 or vice versa, so it allows us to manage that. See, I have no versions available at the moment. I click on, if you do have something installed already, you can click on Locate a Version. If this is your first ever installation of Unity, click on Download, and then it's going to ask for some options in here. Your list should have at the very least 2018.1. If you're looking at this in the future, it might be 2019, it might be 2020. Not a problem. We recommend getting the most recent version of Unity that's stable, and you can tell it's a stable. If you can see here, official releases. The only thing on here are official releases. It's only going to show you the good stuff. If you click on the beta releases, then it'll show you something that's a little bit more experimental. Normally, they're pretty stable by the time we get here, but we often find bugs, so we tend not to use the beta version and we wait until it becomes official release. So for me, you can see the latest option I have is 2018.1.0 F2. Yours might be 2018.2 or 2018.3, not a problem. Click to download the most recent stable version, and then we have the option of the components we wish to install. Obviously, we need the editor, the documentation, yes, standard assets, absolutely. Example project, that's up to you. You don't have to download that. You could turn that off to save a little bit of the download. I'm just going to leave it on for now. And then development tools, very super massively important that yes, you have Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017 or 18 or whatever it is for you when you're going through this process. Yes, you need to download that because that's the environment we're going to be using. Okay, platforms, that's up to you. You can come back and manage this again in the future. You can surf through to this. You don't have to get this for now. The one thing we will get is WebGL build support. That allows us to build to websites. We might do a little bit of that in the early sections of this course. So that's it for the selecting your components. Click Done, and then it is going to ask if we want to make changes. Yes. And then we need to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride as it does all of the downloading and installing in this mechanism. So that's mostly it for this video. I'm going to give you your challenge, which is download Unity Hub and Unity. Start off by downloading Hub, download the latest Unity release, and as I mentioned, if you have any problems at all, then have a look at the version we're using. At the moment, it's 2018.1. And as we go through the course, as the sections become stable, we'll be updating to those stable versions of Unity, so as the versions become stable. And if Unity is downloading quickly for you, and you have Unity downloaded pretty soon, then continue to the very next video, which is called Your First Code, and jump straight in because we'll be using Unity in that video. If it's taking a while, or you've got a slow internet, then and it's not downloaded, then you can jump forward 2 videos, so skip the next 2 videos, and we have a video that's titled Community and Support, where we talk about how to get the most out of this course, how to lean on our community, and how to use all of the tools and support that we provide to you. And then when you finish watching that video, hopefully Unity will have been downloaded and installed, and then you can come back and jump into your first code video. So that's a simple flow. Whatever the case, please do jump straight away into the next video and keep moving forward, and I'll see you very soon. In this video, we're going to write our first line of code in Visual Studio. That's going to be print hello world. And then when we go into Unity and click play, in the console area of Unity, it will print hello world. This is a small but very significant step in making sure that our environment is set up correctly and Unity and Visual Studio are working correctly together. Let's start by talking briefly about how Unity and Visual Studio relate to one another. So Unity is our game engine. This is where we say what the behaviors are in our game and how all the pieces relate to one another and how it all looks and how it all shapes up and comes together. One of the pieces that we use in Unity is our code, and our code is written in files that are .cs files. These are also called scripts, and they're a bunch of text that say what are the rules and behaviors of the things that we want to have happen in our game. And the place that we write these scripts is in Visual Studio. Visual Studio is an IDE, that's an integrated developer environment, and it gives us a whole lot of structure and tools to make our life easier and to avoid making mistakes. So if you're a Mac user, this is a good time to point out that there's really not a lot of differences between Mac and PC when it comes to Unity and Visual Studio, but in the next video, Ben is going to go through those differences so it's really clear what you're looking at and how it relates and how it differs from what we're seeing on the PC. So let's go ahead and create our first script and use Visual Studio to make a little bit of magic in Unity. So let's open up Unity Hub. For you, after you downloaded it, it might have a shortcut on your desktop, or you might need to navigate to it through your program menu. When you open that up, you can see I've got a bunch of projects in here. If this is the first time you're using Hub, then yours is probably empty. And you want to make sure that under installs, you've got 2018 or later ready to go. So from any of these tabs up here, click on New. And that will allow us to create a new project. And it's going to ask us where we want to save that. Let me just show you my directory here where I've put that, and then we can see exactly what's going on in here. So for me, I've created under my D drive, so just any of your drives. So I've got a D drive here. I've created a folder called repos, which is short for the terminology repositories, which is something that'll be relevant later on in the course when we look at source control. And then within repos, I've created Unity 2D, which is where all of the projects from this course are going to go, and the first section we're working on is intro setup. So I encourage you to do a similar structure, have a repos directory with our Unity 2D course, and then for this particular section it's intro and setup, ready and raring there. So when we go into start our new project, we click on the three little dots to the right of location down here, and that will allow us to go and choose where we want to set that up. Go to data, or data, depending upon where you're from, repos, and then Unity 2D, and then intro setup. So I'm going to just click on that once, and select project, and that will use that as our project location. Now it's really important to know that a Unity project is a folder with a set of directories and a set of files within inside it. When we start a project, it's not just one file, it's a whole bunch of files. We're going to call the project name here, we'll call this Hello World, as all good programming first steps should be, a hello world, and under template we're going to select 2D, and then click Create Project. There might be a little bit of loading, a little bit of setup, a little bit of importing, particularly if it's the first time, so bear with that. It should do all of that automatically, and then we will be into the engine. Okay, so that's started up our project. Let's just have a quick look in our directory to see what happened there under Intro Setup. We now have a Hello World folder. I've got a couple of other things in here that you won't have yet because I've put them in, but the important thing is to see that we've got a Hello World. Within that, there's a whole bunch of folders that Unity's created for us, including the Assets folder, and that's where all of our information, all of our game assets and artwork and scripts, everything is going to go into Assets, so that's been created for us. If your layout looks different to mine, you can come up to the top right here where it says Layout, click on that button and find Default. When you click on Default, that should default everything back to the default Windows layout, so it should look the same as what I have here. So from anywhere down in this Assets area down here, right-click, go up to Create, and then find C# script. Click on that, and you'll see it creates a script. Now, important message, we want to start typing straight away the name of our script. Don't click anywhere else and don't hit enter, because if you do that, you'll accidentally create this file with the default name. And if we create it with the default name, when we go and rename it in a moment, it will cause some issues and some errors. So you want to make sure that while the script name is still highlighted and blue, that you start typing straight away. We're going to change the name of this to Hello World, no spaces, and I've put capital H and capital W. And you know you've created your script correctly if the name underneath the script here matches the name we see over in the inspector. You can see public class Hello World. So if it's Hello World there and Hello World under your script, success, we're ready to go. If they're different, Unity is going to be a bit upset and you'll need to delete your script and start that process again. So let's double click on Hello World. It'll open up Visual Studio. There might be a little bit of initial setup and initial loading. Okay, and there's a lot going on here. There's a few things we don't need. So I'm going to close over here my Solution Explorer, just X out on that, and my Team Explorer and Properties. All of those things we don't need at the moment, so I'm going to close that out. So the script that we created over here in Unity already comes with a bunch of text, a bunch of information on it. We're not going to go into the details of that yet. I promise you we'll get into all of that, and in no time you'll understand everything that's going on within here. But for now, we're just going to get our hands dirty by writing a line of code. So I want you to click on line number 9, click in there underneath start, where it says void start, and just follow along with me here. We're going to get our hands dirty, write our first line of code. We're going to type print, and then after that we're going to type open brackets or open parentheses, and then quotation mark, and you can see, because we're in our best friend of Visual Studio, it knows what we want to do. It's already given us a closed bracket and a closed quotation mark, and it's already giving us some information down here saying, hey, you might want to know this, and hey, this might be useful. This is great stuff. Over time, you'll recognize that, and you'll see it as fantastic. For now, don't worry about all that information coming up. We're going to finish typing in here. We'll type hello world, and then down the end of our statement here, we need to type a semicolon. And you can see when we did that, the little squiggly red line went away. I'll do that one more time. When we've got no semicolon, there's a squiggly red line saying, and if you mouse over that, you can see semicolon expected. So this is our best buddy Visual Studio trying to help us out here, saying, I really think you should put a semicolon there. Yes, we do need to do one of those. Okay, then when I hit save, and you can see the little star that was up here went away, and we have a green line that appears to say that we have saved our script. Now back over into Unity, this is the script we're working on. It's been saved. Now there's one last step we need to do. Our script just sitting on its own isn't doing anything. We need to bring it into our world by attaching it to a game object. And the only game object we've got is our camera. So if your sample scene has closed, you can click the little arrow next to it. That'll open it up to show all of the things in the hierarchy underneath sample scene. And you can see we have main camera. That's our game object, our only game object at the moment. So we're going to drag our Hello World script onto our main camera up the top here. We could have also dragged it over here into the inspector while we are selected on main camera. Either of those ways would have served the same purpose. You can see now, when clicked on main camera within the inspector, we've got our Hello World script there. If you come up to the top and click the play button, and open up the console here. We haven't talked about the console yet. The console is what allows us to see the messages and the information, allows us to debug our game. It's a great place to print things out. You can see Hello World is written right in there. Success, we have created our first line of code. Now I have a challenge for you. What I would like you to do is to print hello your name. So to modify our Hello World code, instead of printing out Hello World, I'd like it to print out your name. And obviously, it wouldn't say your name, it would say Hello Rick, or Hello Fred, or Hello Bob, whatever your name might be. So pause the video now, go into the script, change from Hello World to Hello Your Name, save, and then go back into Unity and click play, and see that it types Hello Your Name. And after you do that, come back to the video and play the video again, and I will show you my approach to doing that as well, and we can finish off this exercise together. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. We make sure we click out of play mode. I'd left ourselves in play mode, and I really hope that you did that challenge. I'm going to ask you to do a challenge in each lecture in this course, and it's super, super important that you jump in and take on these challenges. Okay, so I'm back over in Visual Studio here, and you can see our statement, print hello world. I'm just going to hop in here and change this to hello Rick, and then hit save. Back over into Unity. We don't need to attach it to the main camera again because it's already attached there. If we click on the main camera, you can see hello world. It's been updated because we've saved it. And then when I click play, you should see hello Rick down here. And this really was a quick exercise to make sure that our environment is set up correctly. In the next section of the course, Number Wizard will be looking at all the things that we went over very quickly here about the inspector, about the layout in terms of just things like semicolons, why are we doing them? So all of that information we'll be covering in great detail in the next section of the course. But the very next video, Ben's going to be talking about Mac differences. If you're a Mac person, that's a great video to watch. If not, you can skip that video and go on to the next video in the course. Great work, and I'll see you again soon.
Hey guys, Ben with you. Just want to talk you through some of the differences on the Mac. So I've prepared a slide which will summarize it. Firstly, menus stick to the top of the screen, not the app. That's typical in a Mac, but just bear in mind that it won't be stuck. This stuff, Window, Edit, Unity Hub, won't be stuck, of course, to the top of the floating window, but at the top left. Okay, so that's simple enough, very standard to the Mac. Another thing that's very standard to the Mac is that there's an extra menu with the name of the app in it, which you won't see on Windows. So Unity Hub, when we're in Unity Hub, when we're over in Unity, we get the Unity menu, and therein lies a couple of the things you may otherwise have trouble finding, like Unity Preferences, for example, would be a typical one we might ask you to go to. In fact, let's go there now as practice. Let's go to Unity Preferences, and then in there, I want you to go down to External Tools and make sure that your external script editor is set to Visual Studio here. That one there. The rest of these boxes can stay default, but the external script editor should be Visual Studio. Okay, cool. So that's that. Now, what else to watch out for? Well, the fonts are prettier. That's just me being funny, if you think it's funny. So hidden files. Well, they're hidden by default. We don't need to go into detail about how to change that yet. We'll deal with that when we get to version control. But bear in mind that when you're in Finder, if there are hidden files, they won't show up on the Mac. And they're a lot harder to turn on the Mac than they are on the PC. But we'll deal with that as and when we need to. And Visual Studio Community has a very different heritage over here on the Mac. So if we open up Visual Studio Community, then it's actually not the same at all, really. It's still called Visual Studio Community, but it's built on something called Xamarin and also incorporates MonoDevelop. So it's just a different heritage. So it's a slightly different package. It'll look and feel a little bit different. All right, over here in Visual Studio Community, if you're ever granted with like a blank screen like this, it may be helpful to go to View, Paths, and Solution. And if you do that, and you've opened your script from Unity, let's imagine we've double-clicked the script from Unity, opens up Visual Studio, you'll see your script there. So this is another way to navigate around. Same in the PC, but just wanted to let you know that this is where you find it on the Mac. The Solution Pad helps you find your way around your files. We're, of course, going to be just typing into Start when we do our exercises in this section. Otherwise, it's very similar. You save, you get a very similar kind of little icon here that comes up. This circle comes up when you start typing, and it obviously tells you that this file is unsaved. That's what that circle means by hello world there. So if I save the file, the little circle goes away and then you just have a closed tab. So that's a bit different. Of course, the maximize, minimize, all that stuff's going to little bit different. Again, different menu, Visual Studio Community, preferences. You find them there if you need them. What else have we got for you? That's it, really. Some of the code completion may be different. So you'll see Rick typing, for instance, print, and you open a bracket. Now, exactly what this does compared to the PC and exactly where the red underlines come up might be slightly different. What I want you to do is focus on looking through this and just looking at what we've actually written in here, and just deal with the tiny differences that you may see between Mac and PC in terms of what it tries to fill in for you. Otherwise, Mac and PC are going to be very, very similar. The Unity Hub has made it much, much easier for us because it's very similar on Mac and PC. You'll see slightly differences in the path here and maybe the way that these things look as you look around the menus. But basically, you shouldn't be too disorientated at all on the Mac. It's going to be very similar, Mac and PC. Unity itself, in particular, is very, very similar between the two of them. So, hope this helps you, people who are on Mac. Any questions, do ask, and I'll look forward to seeing you later on in the course.